Hello, welcome to Kukoon. This is your post-Cesarean yoga class. Now, before we get started, we want to make sure that you're moving into this practice with a healthy mindset and a knowledge of where your body is at, making sure that you are indeed prepared and ready to move into these types of exercises. So if you're experiencing things like severe incontinence, chronic lower back pain, something called diastasis recti, which is the weakening of the integrity of the six-pack wall. Something if you want to learn more about, you can catch one of our other videos on. Or if you're experiencing a lot of tenderness and kind of angry pain around your scar, then you want to make sure you're seeing a healthcare provider first, somebody who specializes in women's health, specifically a pelvic floor physiotherapist. This is the person that's going to give you the go-ahead to make sure that you are entering into this next phase of your life prepared and your beautiful self is ready to go. So when you're ready, I look forward to seeing you on the mat. Hello and welcome. We want to make sure for this practice that you are positioned yourself along a wall or the side or front of a couch, even along a dresser would work as well. Something that can support us as we lean back onto it. As you can see, I also have some other props around me, and this is just to help our practice to support us and really be able to access the exercises efficiently. One of them is a blanket. It's just a rolled up blanket. You could use a towel as well. And this just helps to go under our joints to fill space and feel a little bit more supported. And the other thing I have here is a block. It's a yoga block, but it doesn't have to be a yoga block if you don't have this at home. Simply get a stack of books or a container, something where if we stick in between the knees, we can just gently squeeze it. And that's what we need the block for. And then this bolster, again, you don't have to have the professional yoga bolster, but if you just had maybe even 2 pillows off of your bed stacked up or off of your couch, that would work as well. Something to support us so when we come over it, we straddle over it and then support us for us to lean back onto as well. So let's get started in a nice tall seat, whatever that looks like for you on your mat. And if you're feeling like it's challenging to get this tall alignment and you're feeling like the back is kind of rounding in, then it's really great to use this rolled up towel and just placing it underneath the first half of the prop and then rolling your sits bones forward, kind of just in front of it. And what this does is allows the pelvis to get this nice tall alignment and the stacking to happen, ears over shoulders and shoulders over hips. And that's where we want to be here as we center. So bringing hands to your belly, your six-pack area, I want you to really spread your fingers out as much as possible across your belly, even bringing the heel of the hand up to the sides of the ribs as well. And then you're going to gently close your eyes. So as you inhale through your nose, you are attempting to make every part under your palm swell and open, kind of like a balloon is swelling and expanding. You're feeling the front of the belly and the sides of the body expand. And then on the exhale, just with ease, you're feeling the belly gently recede and settle. Still sitting up tall as you inhale, expand and soften the belly. Breathing sideways into the rib cage and all the way up into the chest, into the heart space. Filling up your torso. Exhale, smooth, draining every last ounce of air out. So during pregnancy, the belly expands, baby grows, and your organs get pushed up underneath the cavity here of your ribs. And so there's a lot of visceral movement happening now postnatally as your organs start to descend and move back into their original position. So this beautiful big belly breath also helps to nourish that journey of your organs, the visceral body, back into their proper place. The breath is also our best way to help connect to these 2 areas that we really want to target in our body, especially after having a major surgery like a cesarean, that of your core and your pelvic floor. So let's do one more big cycle, breathing sideways, inhale, expand all the way up through to the heart, and then exhaling nice and smooth. letting it all go. Beauty. Let's open the eyes now. And you can shift off of the prop if that was behind you. And let's set ourselves up to do a recline on the wall. So I'm just gonna take that block or makeshift block, whatever you have at home, and I'm just gonna lean it along the wall here, you can see, tilting it back. And this is just to help support when we then bring the pillow and lean it back on the wall as well. So it helps provide a little bit of support here in that opening behind the pillow. All right, and then from there, set yourself up so that your lower back, your sacrum, is meeting that pillow, the bottom of the pillow. And then we want to avoid any intra-abdominal pressure on the belly, that internal pressure. So that involves sit-ups, crunchies, planks. It also involves the reverse sit-up to get down. So instead, let's bring the hands behind and lower ourselves down vertebrae by vertebrae using our strong arm muscles all the way until our back meets the prop. Okay, and we're just being gentle with ourselves here. No need to push ourselves. Let's take the feet out into a bound angle position. And I know personally, I like to have a little bit of extra support under my head and neck. So I'm gonna take my rolled up blanket and just tuck it in behind. And to me, that feels good. And if you need to press pause to just kind of get situated and get a little more comfortable in your space, maybe grab another towel or a pillow, you can do that, of course. The beauty of doing yoga at home, right? Okay, so when you're feeling rested and coming back onto the space, knees are nice and wide, I'm gonna get you to take your hands and with your peace fingers, I'm just gonna get you to feel your pubic bone. So feel the bone right in the middle here. And then just above that bone, that's where your core is. So that's the area we're gonna target. Up here, that big belly breath that we were doing, that's your six pack, your rectus abdominis. But we are focusing down, deep down on that third innermost muscle, for most of us the weakest, on the transversus abdominis, okay? So if you want to close your eyes to just help avoid distraction, I'm not doing anything different here as I'm just gonna be breathing with you, so you don't have to watch. And so what we're gonna do is work with our connection breath. And you might be sitting here going, oh, I wanted to exercise, I need to move. We'll get there, I promise. But after a cesarean, we just wanna make sure that we are really connecting and integrating down to this weakened muscles of the Mula Bandha, your pelvic floor, and your Uddiyana Bandha, that of your core. And that is really essential before we move into any big practices. So the connection breath looks like this. It's just a big inhale through your nose, and we're gonna do that big belly breath, expanding the belly. And as you expand the belly like a balloon, you're also gonna soften your bits. So think of softening like the muscles around your vulva and your anus. Let it be open. And then as you exhale, we're gonna count to 6, and all the way up, you're gonna kind of imagine like you're sipping a milkshake up through your vagina. And I'll give you some other fun cues if it helps you to remember how to engage and lift your pelvic floor. And then on 6, this is where we find our team, our core and pelvic floor connecting to each other. You're gonna find a gentle hug with this lower belly where your fingertips are right above your pubic bone. If you find a gentle hug towards your spine with your belly button, which is often how the core is cued, then you will activate your six-pack area. So the six-pack area is still open and soft here when we're activating the core. We wanna really try and disconnect the two now, and it's hard. So the integration or connection of the core with the fully lifted pelvic floor will happen at the end of your exhale, and I'll cue you through it so that you can sync up with me. So here we go. Let's start by drawing all the air out of your lungs. Big exhale out. And on the inhale, swell through your nose. Start to open your belly, start to sideways breathing, and soften your bits. So let go of any tension down there. 6, and exhale. Now imagine you're stopping the flow of urination and passing gas, and you're lifting all the way to the top, and find that gentle hug. So hugging your lower belly gently into your spine. 10%, no more than that. Good. Inhale, open again, soften. 5, 6, and exhale, lift like you're sipping a milkshake up to the very top of your vagina, all the way up. and hug. So imagine a string on your hips, cinch it closed slightly. Inhale, soften, let that all go. Let the milkshake go. 5, 6, and exhale, lift. Imagine kind of you're picking a blueberry up and you're going up elevator, up 6 floors. Good. 5, and now hug, integrate, connect your core. 3 more just like that at your own pace. It's an inhale to open and soften. And then an exhale to lift and then hug. And you don't have to worry about counting it out if you don't want to. You just focus on really letting go on the inhale. And then lift and engage on the exhale. And if you're finding this really challenging, know you're not the only one. These are challenging poses because exercises, because they're not like moving a big muscle, like how you would do a bicep curl and you're getting that feedback, that instant result. This is an internal connection that we're doing and you don't feel it on the outside. Nothing should be moving except for your 6-pack area with the expansion of your breath. But underneath your core, it shouldn't be moving under your fingers. So finishing up that last cycle. And then gently open your eyes. Not easy, is it? Okay, let's bring one leg up, followed by the other, and just bring the full legs and feet together to touch. So open up your right leg and just let it fall. We're gonna work with that connection breath that we were just doing with an exercise and help to really, again, target and strengthen the area of this core. Remember, the core is the transversus abdominis is a muscle that wraps around you. So another great cue is like, imagine the muscles are giving you a hug all the way around to your back. Okay, so what we want to think about doing is exhaling, engaging, right? So lifting and hugging first, and then moving. And I'll explain why in a moment. So before we move up, we're gonna inhale deep, exhale, lift, engage, and then slowly rise. Okay? Inhale, slowly lower back down. It's not a rush. Exhale, engage, and then move. And just keep doing that. Inhale to lower, exhale to rise. Inhale. And so the reason why we want to engage first and then move is to protect the area from any air moving up into the vagina, which if you've had it happen to you, you know what I'm talking about. And so after having a baby, again, whether vaginally or by cesarean, the 40 weeks or whatever you were pregnant for, really weakened this area of the core and pelvic floor. So it's the pregnancy that did it. And so you want to make sure that you're engaging first and then moving, especially in these more precarious positions where air can get sucked up and into the vagina. Last one, coming all the way up to the top, engage. And then we'll do the opposite side. So it's an inhale to release slowly. And then an exhale, engage, and lift. So keep going. It takes about 6 to 8 seconds to fully engage the pelvic floor, but when you're just doing it to protect the area from any air escaping up, you don't need a full engagement. No, you just need kind of a gentle lift. So if you think 6 seconds is like 6 elevator levels, and it takes 6 elevator levels to fully engage your pelvic floor, maybe you just need to go 2. I like visuals, so I hope that helps you. But again, these exercises aren't easy, and we are slowly starting to connect, restore, and strengthen these areas, this team, that of your Mula Bandha, your pelvic floor, and your Uddiyana Bandha, your core. Let's do one last one here. Inhale to open, exhale, engage, and then lift. So if you do any of the postnatal yoga mummy classes with me, you'll notice I say this a lot. Engage first and then move. And it's purely because we just want to protect that area. Okay, let's take the hands behind first, peeling the head off, followed by the body, and just using your arms to help lift you up and up and up. So I'm going to move any props just to give myself a little more space off to the side here. And then we're going to come onto the mat in a kneeling position. So I personally don't like to be on hard floors on my joints. So I'm going to use my towel or my blanket here, whatever you have, and just put it under my knees for a little extra comfort, because you shouldn't ever be experiencing pain during class, right? All right, so untuck the toes and keep them touching. Sit back on your heels. And so what we're gonna do here is work with that connection breath and our movement again. So as I said in the beginning of class, when we're doing this type of core connection and restoration, it's really helpful if we're doing it with our breath, because the breath, as you expand and retract, it works with the diaphragm to help fully connect down there. All right, so we're gonna focus on some kneeling squats, and kneeling squats in this class because I don't know if you have any sort of prolapse or heaviness going on in that area of your bits, which is very common post-baby. And so if you do, deep squatting is not going to be ideal for you. So we're not going to be doing deep squatting in this class, rather a kneeling squat. And if you do have those symptoms, the pelvic floor physiotherapist is definitely the person to see and help get everything fixed. All right, so coming with your knees a little wider than your hips, hands to your hips. And as we lift up, it's that exhale, engage, and then rise. So let's take a big inhale. Exhale, engage, and then rise up. Good. And then lower down. On the inhale, slowly. And you're gonna start to feel it in the quads. Exhale, engage, rise up. When you're engaging, imagine that hug all the way to your back. Whatever cues are kind of working for you, keep thinking them. Engage. Keep going. It's an inhale to lower, slowly building those quad muscles, and an exhale to engage and then lift. So especially in the third trimester, you can tend to slow down a lot, and the muscles of the foundation can tend to become a bit weaker. And so starting to slowly in these postnatal classes to build those muscles back up is wonderful. Muscles in the foundation and in the glutes especially. Last one. And down. Good. All right. So moving any props out of the way now, I'm going to grab a hold of my block and I'm going to stick it underneath, or in between, I should say, my kneecaps. So in between the knee joints. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. And so my toes are untucked, but you can tuck them under, whatever feels good for you. And then here, we're gonna slide the hands down, feeling the pubic bone, and then just right on top of that, so that we kind of get that feedback from the core. Remember, when we engage the core, we're not feeling any movement or change under the hands here. Different than when we flex the six pack, we kind of feel a little bit of a movement because that's a bigger muscle. And the core, the transversus, is a inner muscle way deep down inside, so you won't actually feel it. And that's why I want you to keep your hands down here as we slowly start to squeeze the block with the knees, okay? So find a gentle squeeze, like a 30%. It doesn't have to be super crazy. And then just release. Squeeze. Yeah. And release. Okay, now I want you to squeeze and stay squeezed. And so what we're doing when we're squeezing is creating this arch of support here, integrating in between the legs, hug the bones together, and that connects right here, strengthening the core. And you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Well, you are. If you're squeezing the block with your knees, you are strengthening the core, you're activating it. Yeah, and then release, and then hug it again, okay? Stay hugged. Now move your hands up to your six-pack area, rectus abdominis, and put 2 big belly breaths here. So if you can keep squeezing the block and expand your belly, you're gonna disconnect those 2 muscles, and that's what we wanna try and do. Oftentimes the six-pack area will want to take over because it's the strongest. So if it's engaged right now, because you're like, oh, 90%, got to squeeze that block, then that's not ideal. We want to soften up here and just connect down here. So can you try that? How hard or easy is this for you? And if it's hard, know that it is for most. Good. Okay. Coming down now, you can move that block out to the side and we're gonna ragdoll to stand. So just hands to the floor. Bum comes up first and ragdoll up. Nice soft knees, stacking vertebrae upon vertebrae, and just keep that head heavy. And so again, those bits are lifted slightly, protecting that area. Good. And standing up nice and tall at the top of your mat. So mountain pose here is a huge pose postnatally. So especially after a cesarean, we want to make sure we're, again, connecting to the core and the pelvic floor area first and foremost. And we can't do that properly unless we have good alignment. So I'm going to shoot like 20 cues at you here for mountain pose. Ideally, we want ears stacked over shoulders, shoulders stacked over hips, hips stacked over heels, and then all four corners of your feet rooted into the ground. I want you to try and engage your thigh and really tighten the kneecap out. Yeah, sending roots down from your feet into the ground. And then blossom your bum, stack your rib cage right over top of your pelvic bowl, chin parallel to the floor, and then open up your palms so as to help open up the chest and the heart. Imagine a string pulling you up from the crown of the head, lift and elongate the spine. And then the last and most important cue, breathe. Breathe. Let's take 3 big out breaths here. So big sniff in through your nose. Expand the belly. Big long sigh through your mouth. Notice, do it again. If this is a big departure for you, this tall alignment. And if you can do this in front of a mirror at home, you get that instant feedback of where your body is positioned. And if the many months of pregnancy you fell out of alignment, it's very normal for most folks, then it's really imperative we get that back postnatally. So finishing up that last breath, good. And then we're gonna take hands to the hips. All right, so let's settle down into a chair. And so pretend like you are sitting in a chair and just shoot your bum back behind you. You don't have to come super deep. And then take a peek at your knees. Make sure the knees aren't tracking over the toes. And if they are, just shoot your sit bones back and that'll kind of pull the knees back. And then what can tend to happen is you fall forward more, right? Okay, so in order to connect to the core, this is what we're gonna do. Lift the heart. And then you feel instantly that internal hug happening around the lower belly. Okay, so put some big breaths into the rectus abdominis just to make sure you're not holding the 6-pack. Lifting the heart still, settle your shoulders. By that little lift, you've engaged your core. Finding length in your spine, finding that fire in your foundation. Breathe. Always your most important cue, breathe. Beautiful. One more breath, lift. And slowly rise up. Give those legs a little shaky shake, and we're gonna come into a tree pose. So this is a standing balance pose. We're coming onto one leg. And so with any standing balance pose, we wanna make sure that we're connecting to the core because it's the core that will give us stability so we don't fall over. And so there's a great way on how to do this. So step by step, let's work through it by pressing the left foot like a strong mountain leg into the ground. Activate, activate. Okay, hand on your hip if that helps. Then we're gonna take the right knee out to the right and really just plant the foot onto the inside of the ankle or the calf. If your practice takes you up to the inner thigh, I say that's great, but I say for the purposes of this practice, connecting really to the core, stay below the kneecap and connect here to the calf instead. All right, so that strong mountain leg is really rooting in, active all the way up to the glute. And then I want you to press the foot firmly into the inside of your leg, of that foundation leg. And when you press it firmly, just the same as when we squeezed that block with our knees, you're creating that arch of support right here that leads to your core. So you have activated your core by integrating your foot into your leg. And then you find your stability. You can find a drishti on the floor as well. That helps with your balance. And if you want to, you can come into the full expression, bringing your arms up overhead. Totally up to you. Breathe though. Don't hold your breath. Through a standing balance. Your breath should be even and easy. Beauty. Okay, slowly releasing, slowly let that leg go, and try not to step on the floor as you take a giant step back into a warrior lunge. So the middle of the back of your arch is lined up with the front heel, and then body is facing the side of your mat as you open your arms out to the side and put a bend into your front knee. So that front knee is ideally stacked right over top of the heel, and we don't have to be parallel to the floor here. We're just looking for a gentle bend in the front knee. And gazing over your first two fingers, reach them apart and then plug your shoulders into their sockets. Now, very important cue in any pose where you're splitting your legs in a yoga practice, hug those legs towards one another. So really integrate and plug them, kind of like you're on a sheet of ice and would do the splits if you didn't hug, integrate. And again, when you do that, you connect to your core. So we're gonna need that as we start to flow slowly here. So inhale, put your left palm up and guide it up towards the sky, sliding your right hand down your back leg. Peaceful warrior. Keep that nice bend in your front knee as you exhale. Bring your elbow to your front knee and take your right arm, rainbow it over your ear. Now you really have to keep that integration, that hugging in between your legs as you slowly rise back to peaceful. You feel that? And then exhale, back to extended. Don't lose that integration. Keep hugging. And if you're feeling any little like muscle twinges in the legs or anywhere else in the body, that just means you're doing it right. That means that you're working an area of your body that was otherwise weakened and you are targeting those little muscles. Okay, last cycle, right back up into warrior two. And then hands to hips and hop that back foot forward. Whoop and whoop. Shake it out. Okay, let's do the same thing on the opposite side, starting first in our mountain, nice and tall, hands to hips, and then take a squat. So gentle chair, all four corners rooting down into the floor of your feet, and then shoot your sit bones back. Lift your heart up. Breathe. Keep lifting the heart up. That's connecting to the core. Keep putting breath into your belly. That's softening the six-pack area. Yes. Good. One more breath. And then slowly rise up. Integrate, root down that right foot into the floor. Activate, activate, activate. And then take your left foot and plant it on the inside of that leg somewhere. Really engage your foot into your leg. Tree pose. So you're finding your core connection by integrating. You're finding your drishti, something to stare at on the floor. And you're breathing nice, easy cycles of breath. If you want, you can bring your arms up overhead. Don't lose that integration of your foot though. Strengthen your core, strengthen that transversus. Good. Very slowly releasing the foot. Try not to touch the floor. This works the core too as you take a giant step back. And angling your back foot so the middle arch meets up with your front heel. Open to the side and find your warrior two. So again, just shift your heel below your knee. Gaze over your first two fingers. Plug your shoulders in, and most importantly here, hug the bones together. And most importantly, breathe. So remember that ice analogy, hug like you're on a sheet and would do the splits. And keep them hugging as we start to flow through peaceful warrior. Inhale, lean back, and exhale, come forward. Rainbow your arm over your ear. Keep the integration as you lift up, especially important there. Keep you stable. Keep you feeling secure and sure on your feet. And last cycle here. Meet back up in Warrior Two, taking your time. Hands to your hips and hop that back foot forward. Give her a little shake, shake. Okay, let's take a little sun salutation to tabletop. So I'm just backing up off the front of my mat a little bit here. Find mountain pose. Take a breath. And then on your next inhale, sweep up overhead. Exhale follows, dive forward. Let your head hang here, let your knees be really soft. Inhale, find a little halfway gaze, bringing your hands to your knees, straighten your spine. And then exhale, really bend into your knees as much as you need to plant your palms on the ground and step back into tabletop. So in tabletop, what we're gonna do here is, I'll show you from the side view here, is just do a gentle hover of the knees. But I always like to make sure that the wrists are comfortable in tabletop. So if your wrists are giving you trouble, you can grab your towel or blanket and just bring the heels of the wrist to the front edge. And what this does is straightens the wrist crease out a bit so that not so much pressure is on it, and it alleviates if you're having some sort of pain in the joint there, it alleviates that. So make sure your tabletop is comfortable for you here. And ideally your knees are stacked below your hips. Whoop. Let's see what we're doing here. All right, so what we're gonna do is start by lifting up one knee. Keep your toe mound down. We're just gonna lift up the right knee and then lower it down. Okay, engage the core, lift up the left knee and lower it down. You can release and engage, lift up the right knee and lower it down. Noticing how, keep going, alternating, noticing how easy or difficult this is for you. Celebrating all the struggle, all the challenge. It's all a journey, it's all welcome. Good. And now what we're gonna do, lower down, we're gonna lift up both knees. So let's do a real good engagement here with the breath. Inhale, exhale, engage, wrap, integrate, and both knees lift up, hovering. Do you feel that wrap all the way around to your back? Good, and then lower down. Now, if you liked that and you wanna stay there longer, press pause, feel free to do that. It's a big exercise. So you have options, of course, if you're at home, you can continue to do that. Okay, let's make our way down onto our back. And what we're gonna do is come into, I'll just show you from the side, come into a reclined bridge. So again, make sure you're not doing that reverse sit-up to get down, right? Rather, roll onto your side and walk your way down. All right, so down on your back, you're gonna bend your knees and just plant your feet somewhere on the floor. And then take your arms by your sides, palms into the floor. So we're just preparing for a bridge flow here. Make sure as you get into position here, you're not craning to see the screen, so keep your head centered and try not to move it around too much. I'll try and give you good cues so you know what we're doing here. So your hands are facing the ground and your arms are hugging the sides of your body. Shimmy your shoulder blades in towards your spine to create that little arch of support at the base of your neck. And then from there, take a big inhale. Exhale, start to lift the pelvis up and up and up into your bridge pose, and then bend the elbows, kind of like robot arms, palms facing each other and fingers shining up towards the sky. Use your elbows to push into the ground and really lift your hips up, okay? Good. So we're gonna take our next inhale and slowly release down. And as you do that, you're just gonna release your bits and release your core and release any tension down there. And then on your exhale, start to lift back up. And as you do that, lift your bits up as well. At the top, find your core wrap. Inhale, lower, release. Release the glutes, release the vulva, anus, everything. And your exhale, lifting the hips back up. Lift your pelvic floor as well, sipping, 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 and then hug. Huge exercise. There's a lot of coordination going on here. So take it slow. As you lower down, you're releasing your bits and inhaling. As you raise the hips back up, you're lifting the bits and connecting your core. 2 more times. Good. And then slowly you're just going to release vertebrae by vertebrae until your full back meets the mat. Yes. Awesome. Okay, let's come into that reclined bound angle, similar to what we did when we were on the wall. Bringing the feet together now, let the knees splay open. Good. So similar to the first exercise we did, we're going to take the engagement and help it to raise the knees up. So we can start with one at a time. Let's start with the right side. So take a big inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to engage and raise the right knee up. Inhale to lower. Let's alternate sides. Exhale, engage, lifting bits, hugging core, and lift the left leg up. Okay, if you think you can do both knees now, exhale, engage, and then lift both knees up. Okay, so whichever version you want to do, if you want to alternate sides, just make sure that on the exhale you're engaging first and then lifting the knees. Inhale, really let it go. Finishing up this last cycle, balancing yourself out if you're alternating sides. Good. And then we're gonna lay the legs out long. Make sure you don't kick a dog. And then getting ready for your Savasana. So Savasana is a really important part of the practice, and a lot of people tend to just press the click button and turn it off at this point. And I really encourage, especially busy mamas, to just see it through to the end. And these last few minutes of inward reflection and focus and peace is so integral to your practice and what you just did. So laying your legs out long, flop the feet open, arms by your sides, palms facing up. Gently close your eyes and tuck your chin to your chest just an inch. If you want to pull in any cushions or pillows underneath your head, of course do so. Make yourself comfortable here. And start with that big belly breath. So the breath swells in deep down below the belly button, swelling your belly, expanding sideways through your ribs and all the way up to your chest. And exhaling nice and long, making sure not an ounce of air is left in the lungs. And with each nourishing breath in, feeling a sense of gratitude, of celebration for what your body did, for what it has overcome. As I said, your body is a shell, but it holds you, and that's something special. Your body may change shape, size. Things might look different. Seeing all of this as a badge of honor for everything that you've overcome, for everything that you have nurtured, for the life that you grew. Magnificent. So we'll end with bringing the hands to the belly, placing them upon your scar, and sending that area as much love and gratitude and healing peace as you can. Continue with the nourishing breath cycles. Very slowly, slowly, starting to wiggle your toes. You can roll over onto your side into a fetal position. And from your side, using your arm muscles to ragdoll your way up and up and up. If you can keep your eyes closed here, that inward focus a little bit more present. Find your tall seat. Thank you for sharing practice with me today. Namaste.